Hi there and welcome back to my channel and this update, or dare I even say finale, for this part of my Panda palette. I have been working on this iconic London Day to Slay. This is a limited edition palette that I got in an advent calendar, I think 2 years ago. I absolutely love this. And as you can see, I have hit pan in all of the shades. I had 3 shades left since last time. It was the Merlet Mondays Bellini and Rags to Riches. And if I remember correctly, I had to use these two, I think Merlet Mondays 4 times, this 5 times, and this 10 times to hit pan. And I did it this month, so ta-da! This is the first palette that I've hit all the pans in ever. I think next year I might pick out a palette that I'm actually trying to pan the whole palette. Is that something you'd like to see? For me, I just feel like hitting pan is such like a tangible and like realistic goal for me. I have only used up 1 shade in this whole year, and that was like a nude, so it was pretty easy. So to pan a whole palette, that would be a challenge. But since I did this in almost a half year or 7 months, I feel like if I pick maybe a little smaller palette, maybe I could do it. Who knows? But anyway, that's what I'm thinking for next year. But for this year, I'm actually going to pick another palette very soon. But let's talk about this, shall we? First of all, let's look at the progress pictures. So as you can see, it was pretty much brand new when I rolled it in. I had only used it a handful of times, and through this year I have tried to hit pan in all of the shades, and as you can see, I hit about 2 or 3 shades every month to get to where I am today. So I have sat down with a number, so I'm going to talk about each and every shadow, what I thought about it, how many times I've used it in this project. So let's get going. In the Nude was a very easy shade to work with. It was good for blending out any look or as a base shade for setting my eyeshadow base. I used that one 79 times. Moving on to Champagne Chick, I've used this one 22 times. I thought it was a pretty easy shade to work with. Then we have the 24K Gold. I only used it 10 times to hit pan, and I actually enjoyed this shade more than I thought. I thought I would hate this shade, but it turned out it was actually pretty fun to work with because I could make more of like statement looks if I used it as an eyeliner. So I have changed my view a little bit on that one. Then we have Deep Soul. I used this 72 times, and I think this was the hardest shade for me because it wasn't hard to use, but it was so pigmented, so I didn't need much of it, especially when I used it in my crease, and then I started using it as an eyeliner and in my brows, so it went much quicker at that time. Next up, we have VIP Vibes. I used that 17 times. It was also one of those nice, easy shades to work with. Then we have Copper Me Fancy. And in the beginning of the year, I wasn't a fan of warm colors at all. But as spring came and we went into summer, I felt like it was very much nicer on me, and I felt like I could work with it in a different way than I had before. So yeah, I warmed up to it. I can change too, apparently. Apparently season does matter, so that's good to know. Then we have Ultimate Tan. I used this 63 times to hit pan on, and yeah, some of these shades, it's really interesting to see all the numbers and seeing that some of the shades I can use only 10 times to hit pan on, and then we have some that I had to use 70 times. That's pretty interesting to me. But that one was very easy to use as a crease shade. Then we have Closing Party. That was nice in the outer corner of my eye, just like a deepening up shade for my eyelid. And we have Bronze Bay. 15 times I used that one. We have Taupe the Taupe. I used that 68 times. We have Merlet Mondays, which must be one of my favorite mattes in here, except for the very easy nude shades. But Merlet Mondays was it was like a dusky pink mauve tone. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, but I had to use it 70 times to hit pan on it. I have worn so many pink looks this year. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would because I have worn pink shades before and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And then when I started working on these, this one and Bellini, I was like, oh, this is actually nice. So maybe I used the other pinks like way too far up in the crease or with the wrong clothes or something. I don't know, but I really enjoy this one. Velvet Crush, I used 29, and just like Closing Party, it was a nice outer corner shade to work with those lighter shades in the inner corner of my eyes. Peaches and Dreams, I used like the other nude beige shades, kind of as a setting powder for my eyeshadow base. Peach Fizz, I used 29 times. I would say that's kind of a poor man's version of Icon, which I totally loved. This was just a little bit warmer, but nevertheless, it was a very nice shade. But I would every day take Icon over this one. Then Bellini, I used 78 times to hit pan on. This one I could even use as a blush a few times, which was very nice, but I was also working on other blushes to hit pan on and use up, so I didn't want to use it too much as a blush, if you know what I mean. But it worked, which is nice to know if I'm going to pan this sometime in the future, who knows. Then we have Rags to Riches, I used it 14 times. Icon I used 37 times, and I think this is the one I used most, if not in the nude or marshmallow, like after I had actually hit pan on it, like voluntarily, if we put it that way. The Marshmallow I used 52 times. Wonderland I used 25 times. That was an amazing shade. It's a very light pink shimmery shade. I absolutely love it. And then we have Girl Boss. 17 times I used that one. I didn't think it gave off as much color as I would have liked to. It didn't look on my eyes as it does in the pan, which was a shame because that one and Merlip Mondays, like I could have made like a purpley look with this, but I couldn't really do that with this palette alone, which is a shame. And I think you could have switched out one of the bronzer shades for like a purple or something, like a lavender purple or something like that, just to change it up a little bit. But other than that, I really loved this palette. I think this is a great color story. It's the best palette I've worked with. Now that I've actually worked a lot with my other palettes, I have found a love for a lot of my palettes, but none of them as much as I like this one. The other ones I've worked on them for a month and I've been like pleasantly surprised, but I was also like, okay, I'm done with this now. This one I haven't grown tired of yet. So far this is my favorite palette in my collection. So that was everything for this one. So what am I to do the rest of the year? It's like 4 or 5 months left. So what am I to do? I thought I would go with the same theme, like the PANtastic Ladies theme, which is size matters, something big, bulky, or awkward. And this was certainly big and bulky, bulky mostly. And it had 20 shades, so pretty many shades. This time I'm going with my biggest palette, my Exotic Pop from King's Beauty, or King Beauty. 88 shades. 88 shades in this one. So I'm not going to try to finish this, of course. I have barely begun using it. So this is what it looks like, and as you can see, I have a few shades here that I'm working on that you can see my progress on because I have them in my Pan That palette. And I really like this palette. It's a little bit hit and miss with the shades that I've been working on. Some of them are beautiful, some of them are a little bit patchy, but I haven't used it a ton yet. I started kind of using it this year, even though I bought it a few years ago. I used it for one look and then I haven't picked it up, probably because it's so big and kind of scary, and you know, there's so much in here that it's kind of hard to know what to do when I open it. So it's like, oh, beautiful, but I don't know where to start, you know? But with my PANthose eyeshadows, I have dipped into a few shades and I'm like, I'm more confident that I can do something with this now. One thing I want to mention though is that these colors, like these pans are pretty deep, so I don't think I will be able to hit pan in that many shades this year. It's not that many months left. But I'm thinking my goal will be to maybe hit 1, maybe 2 pans every month. Maybe. And then just use it. Maybe try to focus on, you know, some of these easier shades up here, or maybe the browns or pinks or something, to try to hit pan on. But then I will kind of dip into everything else and try to get some love out of this palette. So yeah, I think that will be my goal. So this is like an extra palette. I'm not having high expectations of myself for the rest of the year. 4 or 5 months, I just want to relax, have fun, play around with this, and of course I will try to combine it with my PANthose eyeshadows and my Level Up project pan. But I just thought it would be nice to bring it in and get some more use out of it before I try to pan a whole palette. So that's where I am right now. But I have a little surprise for you, but maybe not, because maybe I will, you know, put it in the actual title of this video. But I'm going to bring in a face palette as well, which goes kind of with the same theme because the pans in this are pretty big. So big, bulky, or awkward. These are pretty big pans, but this is so powdery that I actually think that I can finish this year. So I started using it this month. As you can see, I already have pan here. I can also see the imprint of the pan underneath here, and also a little bit here. So this would be awesome if I could roll it out. I never thought I could do that like in a few months, but when I started using this month, I was like, okay, I actually think I can do it. So maybe. At least I want to prepare it otherwise for panning next year, but I think I can get it done. Maybe I can get it done. I hope so. So that will be kind of my companion palette, or actually this will kind of be my companion palette because I'm trying to use this up, and this I'm just trying to use more of. So it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was very exciting for me. This is my, like I said, this was actually the first project I ever entered, and my first palette that I have hit all of the shades in, and yeah, it's just very exciting for me. So I hope you enjoy this video. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!